on so you're here with us. Uh-oh,
Turn the
Ramona?
light on. What?
No, she's on there.
I'm here.
We're not doing anything yet.
It's on YouTube though, so just let
Did
you
you
know.
turn on the picture? We're turning it on so you're here with us. Uh-oh.
I'm here. Come on.
We can
What?
see, we can see your name.
Yeah, she's on there.
I'm here.
No.
We're not doing anything yet.
It's on YouTube though, so just let
Did
you
you turn
know.
on the picture? We're turning it on so you're here with us.
The sound is horrible. I can't hear any of y'all.
Turn something off that
Better.
causes the echo.
Ask
So
her
we'll
if it's
need
better.
Damon.
Ask her if it's better.
Yes. We need to get Damon.
Okay, we have Mr. Crawford.
Go ahead.
Have a seat right here.
How are you?
It's gonna be your spot. They are gonna get you to do the affidavit, like I told you about with the notary.
Right.
This is what you're gonna say. You're gonna be told when to say it. They're gonna
It's
go
it's
for it.
live streaming on
Okay.
YouTube right now.
What's up?
It's
need
live
Damon?
streaming.
No. Mike?
I'm assuming. I don't know. I think it's fine, but you can check it. It's been okay. That's I'm live streaming, so I don't have to stop it, right?
Right.
That's it.
You not having any feedback
No,
problems?
Well, it was until I closed the thing, but I
Yeah.
I
If
hadn't
you leave
closed
the,
it. Well, I
if you
hadn't
leave
closed
YouTube
it
open.
yet.
Okay.
So yeah, we're
Oh,
Very
so
good.
sorry, Damon.
Nope, she's got it.
He likes to have that into it.
Okay, opening hearing on 2020-1296, account 20414. Hearing is being recorded. We are the appraisal review board that will hearing your protest today. Mr. Crawford, I'm Charlie Powers, this is Kathy Hoffman, Cindy Duck, Robert Dayton, and Mike Soto is the district representative.
in Ramona.
We do not work in the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. The survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to pted.communications@cpatexas.gov or online at surveymonkey.com/r/surveyarb. Survey is voluntary, but we appreciate you taking it. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 4145H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. Any evidence to the
It's being scanned in right now.
Yeah, we have it.
scanning in?
Is it in there?
We have it.
It's in? Okay, good, thank you.
I don't have
The
it in
ARB
my
members
stuff.
who are
No.
considering the protest have not
She probably
communicated.
did it on the directions.
Huh?
Probably did it on the-
ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 4166F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Cindy Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Ramona LeBlanc, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66, and I'm signing to that effect, and I'm physically located in Texas.
It's one of the
I
board
was in-
members on Zoom.
I, Elizabeth Picarazzi, and notarizing Ramona's signature via Zoom, and I'm also located in Texas.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. Sir, could you read that statement?
I already did.
I do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony I shall present to the appraisal review board for the Aransas County Appraisal District is true and correct.
Thank you.
My name is Michael Soto. I do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony shall present to the appraisal review board for the Aransas County Appraisal District is true and correct. Have you gotten yours yet? It's not in there?
Yeah, it is.
What? Yes, it is.
Okay.
It just not, yeah.
Yes.
We're good.
Mr. Carpenter, do you have an appraiser's license?
Thank you.
I do not.
Okay. In front of you, under your papers, something glued to the desk, is the
Procedure.
procedure that we'll use. You get to choose whether you go first or the district goes first.
Let the district go first. That'll be fine.
Okay.
It looks like this was an online appeal, and the only thing that is under protest is appraisal ratio exceeds median level of appraisal. For the record, appraisal, appraised value, and market value, and appraisal equity value are related. I'll just go over the grid for sales grid on why we did what we did in that area. Currently have a value, median value due to sales of 242, supports the value of 231,490 that we currently have on the subject property. Last year in 19, we only had a certain percent complete. Now we have a completed structure. For the equity grid, you can see that we try to find other SBs, fiberboard houses, and SSs. The subject is a standard siding house, which means it's a wood frame house. And we try to find other class 5s in that area. You can see right here, the subject is 1,560 square feet. Originally built in 1985. There's an effective year built in 2000. And when you look at that in comparison to subject comp number one is pretty close. It has 1,536 square feet. It has a 2001 effective age built, so a very similar comp. Notice that it has a value of 237,300 when appropriately adjusted. At the bottom, it renders a value of 233. The next one is another 5. This one's a 5 ST, which is stucco. Again, this is smaller than the subject. There's an appropriate change for value due to the land element. It's currently assessed at 231, and when appropriately adjusted, again, renders a value of 231. The next two comps that you can see, these are also dry lots. Each one of these are probably dry, and if not so, then there's an appropriate value change in the land value adjustment. But this one, of course, is dry as well on Crescent. You can see that this is also a 5SS. It's a regular rather than a plus, but it's much bigger than the subject, but it's also much older than the subject. There's appropriate adjustments for each one of those. And then you can see the rendered value at the bottom of 236. Moving forward, you have 2006 Canoe Drive. This again is, you look at the difference in the land value. Moving down, this is a 5 MV. So that's masonry veneer rather than standard siding. You can see that it's much older than the subject property. You can see that it's also much bigger than the subject property. There's the appropriate adjustments for each one of those. That value, when you start out, is 254. When appropriately adjusted, is 240. I don't know if we have any others. No, I think that's it. So if you look at the median equity value, again, these are all properties within the subject property owner's neighborhood. The class, we try to find other class 5s. If you look at the very first comp, it's by far the best comp. It's only 1 effective year difference. It's within, 20 square feet of the subject property. It's got hardy plank rather than frame siding, but there is an adjustment, a slight adjustment for that. And then you'll see that there's a slight adjustment for the land element, but by far the best comp. It's currently assessed at 237,300. When appropriately adjusted, renders a value of 233,242. That comp is a pretty good comp. When you look at that, you look at the whole of all of the properties that we used as comparable for equity. The median equity value to the left is 234,672, which again supports the value that we have on the property at 231,490. Again, just to reiterate, all of these comps were in the neighborhood. They were all class 5s. They were all appropriately adjusted for size, affected age, and land elements. And inequity value supports the value that we have on the property. With the remaining part of my time, whatever time I have left, I'd be willing to answer any questions that the ARB would have. Okay. All right.
You're out of time anyway, so
All
there
righty.
you go, perfect. Okay, so sir, Mr. Clark, you get 2 minutes to cross-examine, and then you get 5 minutes to present. So you get a total of 7 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll just skip the cross-examination
Okay,
because I looked more closely to my house. I looked at the house on either side. And then there are screenshots from the appraisal board's website. Back this up. Okay, 2103 is, it is bigger, almost twice as big. Comes out to a valuation of $96.72 per square foot. That house is 2/6 construction. It's a newer house, about 6 years. 6 years for one part of the house and 12 years for the other part of that house. It has the differences that I can see are that it's 2/6 construction. It's a single level. It has 2 oversized garages. I have one standard size garage, and the house is stucco. The other house on the other side of me is 2109 Harbor Court. That house is slightly larger. The valuation per square foot from the appraisal district is $113.55 per square foot. The differences that I can see relate to, other than being slightly larger, it has 2 glassed-in porches, an oversized garage, and it is brick veneer. Then my house is in between. I have decking. I have about 400 square feet of decking. I have a lean-to porch on the back that is open air, and my house is wood frame, and it is valued at $119.08 per square foot. And something about that just did not seem equitable. And I don't know the difference why mine is $6 valued at $6 a square foot, $5.50 a square foot more than 2109, nor roughly $22 a square foot more than 2103.
Anything else?
And that's all.
are you asking the appraisal district?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm happy to hear his comment.
Certainly, be glad to look into let's look into one of the ones that you brought up, which is 2109 Harbor Court. Let's look at the differences between the subject and that one. It is bigger. The subject, I believe, is subject 14 or 1500, or roughly 1560. This one is 1824, so it's larger. It's going to have a lower price per square foot from just an economy of size standpoint, if all things given equal. But let's look at the card, and let's look at the effective age. Let's look at just everything involved. If you could just pull it over, and
I will. Hold on.
thank you so much. So it is, it's larger, so it's going to have a smaller price per square foot, probably. But let's go and print for you so you can see the whole thing. Okay, so this is a class 5 NV plus. 1744 plus a little casita thing that has the, I guess on the second floor. It looks like it's got a 1982 and a 1992 effective year, so it's 8 years newer, older. It's 8 years older because the subject effective year is 2000. So both of those things are going to work for a smaller price per square foot, respectively. The subject probably has the same price per foot on the land, I think, as the subject, $640 a foot. If they've got similar land sizes. Yeah, it's $640 a foot, so it's identical to the subject. So this price per square foot is identical. This price per square foot is predicated on the matrices of the 5 MV at 1992 within this specific number of main area square feet, and then a price per square foot.
And his was what now again? I'm sorry.
We could look at it. Let's go into my evidence in comparison. Certainly.
What is the size of the lot next door in comparison to the homeowners?
Yeah, okay, let me get that for you.
1560.
So this is 1080 plus the MA, second floor is 1480, that's 1560. It's newer, and you can see that it renders, yeah, you can see that it gives these values associated. So I don't know the subject property owner's calculations, but it's this, and then you take that, and then, the sales indicated that there was a 12% neighborhood adjustment on MAs. So that's why you have the 185. So if you take the 185 divided by the 1560, 185,
One not take away.
7. Yeah, it's 119.08.
A foot
Yeah.
versus 60.
And the other one, if we go back to the other, just the card itself. Yeah.
And what year is it?
That is 204, 420 divided by the
You heard the time.
square footage. What was the square footage? 1744 plus 80.
113.55.
So yeah, that's the differences. There's minor differences. And in answer to your question, how many square feet, Robert? It was 7,537 next door square feet.
Similar.
And it's the same price per square foot.
So, but the house was what versus what?
113 versus 119. And
Oh, okay.
they're relatively close, and the subject is newer, the subject is smaller. Those are both going to work for a higher price per square foot.
All right, the time went out.
Okay.
So, now it is your,
Cross-examination.
yes, 2 for cross-examine, 2 for rebuttal.
What I would say for cross is that, we looked at one of the houses next door for, the price per square foot on the land. I believe that the land schedule is appropriate. On the one next door, a person would ask why the difference between 113 and 119 foot when the class 5 is the same. 1 is the effective age, and 2 is the size. Whenever you get bigger, the price per unit goes down, it decreases. That's called an economy of size or economy of scale. It's a typical appraisal methodology that's seen in the marketplace. So I hope that answered. This was an area that experienced that 112, and it was just due to the market. And I guess what I would say as far as using cross and rebuttal time together, did this across the board. Amy, if you can go back to my evidence. and go to the sales ratio report. And, yeah, and so that's right at 1. That's basically right on target. That's a test of appraisal accuracy. Is the appraisal ratio, so it's 1 or 100%, meaning that we're appropriately adjusting we're appropriately adjusting properties after the sale. And we don't just do it to the sales, we do it to the data set. So we take that information and we say, okay, what are the similarities? Land elements are the similarities, maybe the neighborhood code. Like in this case, it's a very congruent way to just apply a neighborhood factor because you're applying it to everybody. And that's all I got.
I think Joe had used an example of the house on the other side as well.
Right, on both sides
Do
of
you
my
want to
house.
see those?
And
figures?
also, the district did not address the differences in the houses about the size, what is not the main living area. The house that the district showed you has 2 glassed-in porches totaling 384 according to your records.
Okay.
It also has an oversized garage and it's a brick veneer house. On the other side of me, there was a larger house that is not appraised at, $96.72, if my math is correct, but my math is correct, I'm not certain, but you can compare that to the, could you bring up 2103, please?
Jackie, can you bring up 20413, please?
Ramona, Ramona,
Yes.
the
That's the house. That's the number.
homeowner asked to have 21.
That's the property number.
The property number?
It is an address.
That's the address.
Oh my gosh. It's the property ID number.
It's in my evidence, so if you can bring it up. There.
It's do you want to see the account for this? Is that what you're trying to see?
Yes.
That's the house you
Yeah,
wanted to see.
I have it in my evidence.
Yep.
You can, okay, that house was built it was finished in, I believe, 1992 and 1999. It is a 3,000 square foot house. But if you look at the things that are attached to the houses, like that house has 2 oversized 2-car garages. My house does have the lean-to porch and a deck. The house on the other side of me has 2 glassed-in porches. It has a glassed-in porch and a covered porch. And it is brick veneer. I don't see how you get to 119 on mine, 113 and a half on 2109, and 9672 on 2103. Because if you look at the porches, the garages, in addition to the main living area, I believe that more than offsets any quote effective age or size, economy of size.
Okay, we're going into your 2 minutes now, okay?
What was he using before?
Your time, the rest of yours.
Well, he can't do that.
Oh, you got up and I did, okay. I didn't know. I'm sorry, nobody said anything to me.
Can you explain to him how you adjusted for the porches and the
Certainly
garages?
can. Yeah, that was one of the questions raised by the subject property owner. So in our grid, we do adjust for every element in the property. We did not use your comps. We used our comps. And we use comps that are most congruent. So we're going to use here and here. And so whenever there's an element that's not in here, negative adjustment like yours. Whenever there's an element over here that's not here, there's a plus adjustment. And so a really good example is the land element. Because they have more value, there's a negative adjustment to make it like yours. Okay, but you don't have a screen porch, over here, but there's one here, so there's a negative adjustment. Whenever you have something that they don't have, then there's a plus adjustment there. So every single element is adjusted. So theoretically, if we were to take the house on the left and the house on the right and put them into a grid, they would have what's called a contributory value, segment value associated, either a plus or a minus, depending on which one's better. Did I answer your question?
No.
Oh, that's convenient.
No, because.
Ask me your question and I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability, sir. I can tell you anything you want to know about square footage, price per square foot, individual elements. Ask me the question.
The individual elements on the 2103 include the individual elements.
Can you pull up 2103 and then he can point to whatever he wants to, and then I can try to answer a question?
This is 21.
Okay, then do print preview. What would you like to know, sir?
The value of the garages.
Value of the attached garage is 13.5 plus another attached garage at 12, so it looks like 25,000 and change, 26,000. You have to remember that this entire value is then, there's a 12% adjustment to all of it. So the 25, if you wanted to know specifically, it's approximately 26,000 times 1.12. That's approximately 29,120.
And everything in Harbor Oaks is multiplied by that 1.12
At least
Or in that area.
the dry.
in the dry. Okay, all of them in the dry get that same 1.12.
That I understand.
Okay,
Yeah, no, but I'm just looking at my house, and then I'll look at the house on either side, and that is a significant that's significantly disproportionate for the value per square foot. And you can hit me.
are you saying the 113 and the 119, that's because
Yes,
from what, like,
The one
That
we were just
really
looking at was the
close.
one to the right, which is definitely different. That's not 113, it's whatever he reported.
okay,
it is 9672.
but it's a
Way
lot
bigger house.
bigger.
Yeah, and so the economy of size is gonna work against that. The best way to illustrate it is to go back to the grid. Go back to our grid. I hope this can answer it for you. The equity grid, I guess. This is the best way to look at the value that we have associated with your value, and look at the overall value that we have for this one right here. And look at the similarities, the 5SS to 5FB plus, those are both in the same kind. There's very little value change in the land. They're almost identical from an effective age, and they're almost identical from a price from a square footage standpoint. The garages are within 50 feet of one another. And you both got an open deck, like they don't have one, you have one, so that's 4,000. You have a bigger PC than they have, so that's some money. You don't have a screen port, so we take money away. And the purported value is 233. This is like a very good example of how we do each individual segment and how it relates to value. Do you see how another house that has 1536 square feet is assessed at 237, you're at 231, you're within the same kind of class, the same kind of effective age with very minor differences, and you're appraised in very similar fashions? Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense to me.
Okay, excellent.
I think it's wrong, but it makes sense.
You think it's wrong?
Yeah, I do. I think that houses on the same street next to each other.
Ought to be appraised at the same price per square foot?
No, I think they should. I think that you add for certain things and you subtract for certain things. And 9672, the house is two construction. It's a single level. And, It has two oversized garages. I don't see how you got it. I know, I understand I understand I understand the basics of mass asset appraising. But I'm just looking at my house and the house on either side.
Yeah,
And they're supposed to be, we're supposed to be comparable.
supposed to be treated in an equitable fashion. That house next door that you keep pointing to is also $120,000 more than yours. It's appraised at like 353 or something like that, right?
355.
So do you not think that that's right?
I don't.
You think that one needs to go up?
Like the same deal they had.
You
know,
want
it's
$96 a foot is where you're going.
the, where, you know, it's,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm
All
sorry.
right, so
I'm not
now,
gonna, yeah,
I'm
I'm not gonna
sorry.
deal.
Okay,
We're gonna disagree that, I mean, I think
okay,
that,
so now what I need to do, I need to get us back on track. So now we have the district closing for 1 minute, and then after they do their 1 minute, you'll give a minute, okay?
what I'd like to say is the only thing under protest is equity. The one next door is more congruent on the left than the one on the right. You see that there's the 113 versus the 119. Again, that's using his evidence. If you look at my evidence and you look at the equity, I mean, the very first comp was a super great comp. It's within 1 year effective age. It's in the same neighborhood, in the same general class, very minor adjustment in the land. And when you appropriate that change, it's 233, 242. The subject is at 231. The median equity value supports at 234. I mean, that value is well supported. I would just close and say that I think that the market value is correct, and I would be glad to look at any property in Harbor Oaks and look at any element by the ARB.
And now, sir, you get 1 minute for your closing.
Okay. I'm not arguing about the land. The, and I call it not my house, it's my project. It will be finished one day. We're still not rebuilt. Those two properties are the ones that I think you have to look at when you look, well, I don't guess you have to, you can look at anything. But those, when you look at the quality of the build, the fact that both of them are basically one-story houses. The one on your left, the left of the picture has a very small room upstairs, but it's basically a one-story house. One-story house, mine's two-story house. I rely on what I presented.
All right, so now we have 5 minutes, the appraisal review board, for us to discuss and come up with our answer as far as, stay where you are, please, Amy.
I have a
On your house.
quick question here from Mike. You said last year it was not a completed house for 2019, but this year it is.
That's what was on the very first sheet. I can see what we had as far as the percent completeness last year. Was that going to be the question?
Price. The other thing that I think the homeowner maybe doesn't understand is, and everybody does it, we see this all the time, is the house on either side may or may not be equitable.
75% complete last year.
Okay, and the homeowner is not shown how he's adjusted. He's just looked at a price per square foot. And he hasn't shown how he's adjusted for the land element, garage element, the porch element, the which all comes into play.
All right, and then I have a question. So you made the comment that one day you'll be done with this project. So are you able to live in that house right now?
I live in one bedroom. I do not have a kitchen.
You don't, when you say you don't have a kitchen, are you saying you don't have appliances, I mean, what is it?
Appliances, electricity in the kitchen.
Don't
I
have,
don't have those.
what,
And because the cabinets are not finished and the backsplash isn't finished. And the floor has to be repaired and 2 walls have to be,
so is it torn up or,
it's in various stages of,
okay.
Was that from the storm or are you building the
from,
house?
no, it's from the storm.
Are your bathrooms complete?
As of the first of the year, 1.5 were complete.
As of January 1st,
As of, they were mostly complete, yes.
on January.
There's, one of the bathrooms is not complete. The upstairs bathroom is not complete.
Is there a living area?
But you're living there.
I live in the, 1 bedroom.
So you don't have a living area, like a living room,
It has building materials in it,
and you don't have a kitchen?
and I do not have a functioning kitchen. Yeah, I have, the room is there.
Yeah,
Okay.
some
So,
percent functional.
Charlie, what is on your thing? Are you able to pinpoint a number?
Working on it.
Can I, just, yeah, I know, I just want to ask a question to the property owner. He has a mailing address in Rockport. Is this not your primary home?
No, because I changed it to another house because I couldn't live down here.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for that.
As soon as this one is complete, I plan to move back.
Okay. Make sure, this is just a piece of advice to you. On any given year, you need to be complete before January 1st of any given year. So if you plan to be done by the end of this year, make sure you're complete. Otherwise, if it doesn't show 100% complete, occupied primary residence, and we can't apply it. We won't be able to apply it in homestead, is my point. To try to be complete but before changing the homestead over. If it takes 2 years, then it takes 2 years, but just be in contact with us is all I would say.
I will.
Charlie, have you come up with anything?
Yeah, let me ask one thing. Do you have heating and air conditioning working?
I do have air conditioning.
Okay. Then I get about 6%.
Okay.
Right, that-
You said 60?
6.
Oh, 6% off?
6%
Yes,
off.
I'd say up to 10 even.
I would say 10.
I'd say 10.
10.
I really,
He doesn't
not
have,
having a kitchen is a problem.
That would-
I mean, and having the
Value of
building
improvement.
materials in your home with you, I mean, that's not cool. Ramona?
Value of the improvements down to 167, 184.
that's 10%.
Yeah, that's 10%.
167, 184.
Ramona?
What?
You hear what we're talking about?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any comments yet?
Nope.
Are you okay with 10%
Of the
Yes.
improvement.
on the improvement?
On the improvement only coming off.
I said yes.
You said 167, 184?
166, 184. Okay.
No, 167, 180.
Oh, 160.
Okay, good, because that's what I got.
Add the land back in, it should be 212, 910.
Okay, so how are y'all all feeling about the 212, what now?
212, 910.
Fine with that.
Because I think that's a fair thing to do on the house.
Adrian, can you mark the account for a 1-1?
I can be head for that.
Okay. All right, Ramona, you good with that?
Yep.
So on account number 20414, taking into consideration the possibility of, or looking at the appraisal ratio exceeding the median level of appraisal, the 2020 value should be lowered to $212,910
Second.
with the 10% coming off the improvements.
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And also, sir, like, now it's kind of crazy because of the COVID and everything.
Uh-huh.
But after this tax season, because, they're trying to help people understand it. I mean, you can call them and make an appointment and come in and, they'll help you understand what the different values were and all that. I mean, this office is open. It's a public office for anyone.
Not right now.
Well, except for right now with the COVID, which I
You can
started.
call.
I said it's crazy now because of COVID. But if you call them this week, you might have a hard time because we're doing hearing.
Thank you.
Oh, and also if you do a, what's it called?
Survey.
Survey.
Okay.
We
Oh, look.
appreciate it.
Okay.
That's it. 1:30.
Anybody else?
No.
I guess not.
Do you have any 3 o'clock?
Wow, nobody else.
I don't know.
The other two didn't show.
She didn't, we don't know for 3 o'clock.
Where is that?
Where's what?
Harbor Road.
Is that Harbor Road?
I know it's our road, but
That's the main drive, that one right there.
There's a little, like a little cul-de-sac.
oh, so if I go down the main drag and I take a left?
Take a right.
Take a right and then find a right.
Oh. Okay.
You have 3 possibles for,
Not
Very
talking
cool.
about this case, but it would be nice if property owners would bring relevant discussions to his discussion time.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hypothetically, if the property was not complete and didn't have a kitchen, hypothetically, you probably want to leave with that.
I think some
Yeah.
people don't know that that's a consideration. I don't know.
I think we were really nervous.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, 2x6 wall construction doesn't make any difference.
I think it's funny. I know a guy who was building a house. And
wait a minute. Ramona,
What?
there are no more 1:30s. We're
I heard you.
gonna sit around till 3.
All righty.
Okay.
You want us to deal you in? What's
Yeah,
your-
so what do you
what's-
want to talk about?
What's your
Ramona?
stake? We'll deal you into the virtual poker.
there's a
I
guy
ain't got nothing.
I know who was building a
Dave's
house.
kind of tells a story.
He's like super meticulous. He's like an engineer and he's just like, torque every bolt kind of guy.
Yeah.
Everything was just perfectly done. And you just think, this kind of
That's
thing.
the house you want.
Yeah, but nobody appreciates that. Like
Right.
nobody's like, oh, look at how flush all this is. Look at how, correct everything's been done. Like that just never, it's like you see a used car, but it's been really well taken care of, like internally. Nobody appreciates that. They're like, does it have scratches? Does it have leather seats? That's all they want to know, But it's like, yeah, but this thing's been like getting all the transmission
Apple
service.
CarPlay
and-
really rocks, man. I'm just telling you.
it's had the transmission taken care of, and he always buys quality tires, and like that stuff matters. That's the car you want to buy, but nobody.
No, people care. That's why you take it to the dealership.
The dealerships care even less. I
No,
used
but
to
I'm
work at
saying-
one.
No, I'm saying that's why you take it there for your service and your oil changes or
Oh,
to
yeah.
Minuteman, because then they can pull up your file and you can print it out and show it to the people that are looking to find it.
Yeah.
We always look at that.
Well,
Minuteman will do the same thing.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I remember there was a guy who brought a trade in one time. It was this like old Bronco, and somebody said, "You think this is his trade?" And he popped the hood, and it was nicer than a new car. I mean, it had just been so well taken care of. It was like,
That's the one you want.
that's the one you want.
But you're not like, if the regular Bronco was 7,500, you're not paying 10,500.
Yeah.
You're paying like 8,500.
Yeah, maybe.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
so that's your point, is that it doesn't really.
I mean, even new cars, like they're not all put together right. I mean, they're not assembled perfectly. So it's kind of better
We have a
to
three
have one
o'clock
that somebody's been over real carefully.
It's just the orders.
There's those people who won't buy trucks that are built on Mondays. They look up the VIN number, and if it's a Monday, they won't buy it
For
because the
real?
assembly workers have been hung over.
Yeah, just.
And so that, yeah, there's people who literally will not buy a truck that was built on a Monday.
That's a wide.
That's
it's
really
supposed to
big.
be assembled by robots these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, exactly. That's an
I
old
don't know,
thing.
maybe, but maybe the robots didn't get enough liquid during the weekend.
And some people will buy vehicles in lame duck years, the last year's production, because nobody's been hired in years to work on that particular car. So they're all like
People that know
resident
what they're
experts.
I can't have
It's,
it.
you know,
Now that one does make sense.
Yeah.
Super qualified, they're the only employees left.
I mean, like, who even
Like, this guy's been
who
building this
thinks
part.
about that? That one,
It's just
that's a
water
good
actually.
thing to remember, though.
Yeah. I didn't text you because your phone was dead.
Yeah, no. Okay.
There's another field where you can make a lot of money these days. And that's if you knew how to program in COBOL.
Oh, yeah.
All of these governments that are having trouble with the unemployment checks, getting them out, getting them processed, they all use IBM System 86s from out of Rochester, Minnesota.
Oh, my goodness.
That dates back decades. And it's back in the 80s. And they have never replaced them. The code that's used is written in COBOL.
I haven't heard that term in so long.
And they're dying for people to change those programs to accommodate all these funny machinations on unemployment checks. First it was $600. Now it might be $200 going to 70% of your actual total. Yeah, right.
See, and that's what I learned, COBOL, when I was going to college, that
Well,
was
see,
what
you
we
can make a
learned.
lot of money. I learned Fortran.
Fortran, COBOL,
Basic.
and those machines.
Punch card.
Punching the cards. Oh my God, I'll never forget that sound. And the stack of cards you'd have to put in.
One card change. Make all the difference. One card change.
It's like those guys that work, your guys and gals that work at the help desk. You know, I wasn't a computer science major, so, I kind of struggled through my Fortran class, but you have your little readout, computer science guy. It's like this, but you missed a comma right there. I mean, they just kind of flip through your page. Oh, yeah, you missed a period right there. Kind of go, how did you see that?
He just knows it should be there. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh.
It's like anything you do though. If you do it over and over again, you see patterns and you see things that should be there or things that are absent of being there just because you look at it all the time. And so that's probably what they see.
That 2-lined paper, you're right. Oh my God, those big, and it was green and white with the holes.
There are times where we're here and I'll look at a property and I go, ooh, this is strong. Meaning, in our opinion, it's kind of high even for our own model. And I'll take it to, I'll take it to Abe and he goes, what's wrong with this? Like immediately, like within 3 seconds, he's going, looking at the property, like he looks where it's at, look how big it is. And he's like, what's wrong with this? And then we'll both take it to Scott and he'll go, what the heck is wrong with this? And so you're just used to seeing things, they fall within a certain category or one's an outlier. It can be an outlier, big or small. It's interesting to see that. And it's just by doing it literally thousands of times, And the opposite is true too. Like, why is it so low? It's just like, you blurt it out within the first 3 to 5 seconds. I mean, literally you're going, where's this at? Why is this so low? It happens all the time. So my mother-in-law's trying to get into her retirement center over in San Antonio. Have you ever seen that one? It's called the Arc.
No, I've seen advertisements for it.
Yeah, she's trying to get in there. It's kind of like a long-term living place.
That's a whole
Those
other degree
places are
she'll
all-
have to get down.
Whole other way.
Degree. No, I mean, you have to like, you
Oh,
have to
the application.
understand all this, like your insurance and this and
Oh,
that.
you have to, like, the application process is severe.
Mhm.
Not only do they look at your medical history, but they look at your, like,
Financial.
financials and your insurance and you have to have like it all.
Family,
Yeah.
you wanna make sure they're not gonna lose any money.
Yeah, no, she did really well. We hope to close it this Thursday, house. She did really well.
Oh, that's good.
She did good on the house. And it was within, it was within 3% of the
What
ask.
she was asking, I'm great.
That's awesome.
But she has a son-in-law that kind of knows things about property value. So the first thing I said was, let's go get an appraisal. Let's go pay for an appraisal and see what stuff is worth, in your area, because I don't know her area. I kind of know, but
She lives in San Antonio.
sure enough, it helped out a ton. $350 well spent. She lives in San Antonio. It's a little place called Windcrest in San Antonio, one of the little cities inside.
Always good to get an appraisal up front, so you don't get surprised.
Yeah, you get the appraisal beforehand.
Yeah.
You hand it to the
Go way over,
realtor.
you can
The
go way under.
realtor knows it's solid. They're trying to market that price, and then by the time the second appraisal comes in for the financing, I mean, they're using, if it's close, that happened, 2.5, 3 months ago. So some of those same comps are probably some of the same comps,
But it's different company, different appraiser. They could be coming from Austin sometimes. We get appraisers down here that come from San Antonio. I mean, any idea what a bulkhead is? And they're trying to.
Oh my
appraise it.
God, and they're here doing an appraisal?
We have people on the phone.
You
that
lose
don't know
all
what
kinds of
that is.
sales that way. And they don't go. They don't.
That's a different problem.
Well, it was part of the insurance problem. I mean, all those people came in from a 2-day class.
I had some flooding down south over in the valley.
Yeah, they just kept raining over there. There was somebody who was in where they were. I want to say, I don't remember where it was. It was in the valley, but they were saying it's the second hurricane that they've ever gotten. That they just don't. Yeah, I was like, they just don't go there. He said nobody around here knows what to do. Like it just keeps raining and it keeps raining and the wind's blowing all different directions.
Texas or Mexico?
It was like right on the border of Texas and Mexico, but it was still in Texas. But they were just saying like everyone's at home and they're just like waiting for it to be over. Yeah.
But it wasn't even a hurricane.
It's like when it snows here in Rockport. It's just like, what do we do?
McAllen and Edinburgh area.
Were they okay?
Yeah. It just, in fact, my brother went down there because my brother graduated from Edinburgh North, my youngest brother. And after me and my brother graduated from high school, there's 15 years difference between. So there's me, my brother that's 3 years younger, and then my younger brother that's 15 years younger than me. And so when we graduated from high school, they moved back down to the valley. My mom and dad did. And so he kind of grew up down there. And a lot of his friends are still there and such. And for the next day and a half, just let the water recede before you try to get your car out anywhere. Just stay inside, play a board game or something.
Where is he, McAllen?
He was in Edinburgh at the time. Yeah, Edinburgh and McAllen is two, and then you have Farr is the next city over.
So does it carry salt water with it?
What, the hurricane?
Yeah.
Well,
I might.
Part of it, I think that part of it is carried up by the salt water, but the majority of it is from the clouds,
Fresh.
raining. Yeah, fresh water. I think it's brackish.
Right, inside a hurricane.
I think that some of it is pulled by the water for sure.
So tell him to wash his car under.
Yeah, by the time they got down there, it was just a tropical storm.
It was just raining like crazy.
Oh. yesterday, Bill said yesterday while we were here, and I know it rained, but he said, no, Cindy, it poured, like you could not see out of the building.
Yeah, that's what my mother-in-law said
And I don't think it's,
Yesterday?
yeah,
yesterday.
Oh, you were here?
yes.
And
You can hear it on the roof.
It
It
was,
didn't sound that bad, but
it rained really hard for a little while.
here,
I don't think it rained
No,
in
over
my
by
house.
our area.
yeah,
Harbor Road.
I don't think it rained, it didn't rain in my house.
it didn't?
Yeah, we're close. Night and day difference.
See, it rained here, it was like at lunchtime, and then at our house, I mean, he said you could not even, you couldn't see out.
We have a big ditch by our house. Filled up with water. We've got all kinds of weird little birds out there. Our kids are catching all kinds of animals.
My eldest went
Animals?
back to
Yeah.
college yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way to.
Everything,
Texas.
frogs, snakes,
Wow.
lizards, whatever they can find.
Where's this?
There's a pair of green herons that are parked in front of our house.
Greenback herons, I love them,
Green herons, we've never seen them.
because they're the little old man, and
Yeah.
then they're this like beautiful heron. Because when they're standing,
Yeah, I know, they're all scrunched.
yeah, and so they look like a rook,
Yeah, this guy.
uh,
And they sit there fishing in the ditch. It's pretty cool.
yeah, there's a pair, they always come back to the tree they're wherever they're born,
Uh-huh.
they always go back there to mate. And so we've got a pair, well, you know, we have a family that's generations.
That's cool.
So every year we get to watch them, and they're just the neatest birds. Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen one, if I have it. Is it blue heron, but it's green?
but
Yeah,
it's,
it
but they're
looks-
like this big.
It looks like a weird cross between like a heron and a kingfisher.
Yeah,
It's like
and it's got red, kind of red. See, look how it's got red on its like chest.
its little head can pop up like that.
But it doesn't do that very, unless it's like,
It did. It was doing that when we first saw it.
oh, it was?
Mhm. But most of the time, it just sits there looking like
Just
this.
stop over.
No, we have like a really large ditch in front of our house,
But look where his,
and it's basically a swamp. I mean, there's like a bullfrog in there that's literally this big.
Oh
It's
my
the
God.
largest bullfrog I've ever seen in Aransas County in the whole life. It's gigantic.
see, here's
There's
what's
like
cool, Kathy.
snakes and all kinds of
They'll
stuff.
look like this, you know, a little
Oh, yeah.
man,
Yeah.
okay?
They're
But
pretty
then
green too.
when they stretch out, they look like that. So sometimes they look like a heron, and then sometimes they look like a grumpy old man, hunched up.
It's pretty.
Yeah, they are. They're really pretty birds.
They are pretty.
Where is
And you'll
this?
see the green is on their head, and some of them, it's here. And so sometimes you'll be able to see it, and other times you just see the red and the multicolored black and white and brown on their body. But they're just the neatest birds, I love.
Right there.
And they have a very
So what street is
distinct
that?
call.
This is. It should be Railroad Avenue, but our address is actually given to Chaparral, which is really annoying.
Like, where are you?
This is basically it feeds into Tool Creek. If you go far
Julie Creek?
enough, yeah, it
What
goes
street
way
is
down.
that going up?
This is
way?
3036.
On 30.
And you know that big turn when you're there's like a back road to get 3036, and there's a 35 businesses right here at the gas station. There's like
Where's
a
the
little,
gas,
Yeah.
where's the exit?
this is a row of duplexes, and we live in that one.
It's like, like, we're like across from the gym,
Is
that,
that Fulton?
You're right across from the gym?
no, like that, it used to be a gymnastics
This
place.
is
back
the
there.
Motel
What's that building
6.
that's behind you?
This is a boat storage that's like new. It's a large
That's right
boat
behind
storage.
you.
Yeah, it's like right behind us. We heard somebody back into it one time. We were hanging out and we were like watching a movie or something, and we heard and I was like, somebody was back there floating into this fall. But yeah, we live right there, and this was nothing before. This was just part of the ditch, the drainage. This actually is a really, really old right of way for a railroad. And so this was used for drainage for so long, and then it's been developed all these duplexes. This is a one-way street, but this ditch is it fills up to the top with water, and we get all kinds of things living in there, all kinds of things.
You ever had an overflow? Your house?
No, because it drains out. It's like it's moving. When it gets full, it's going. Yeah. But
My wife had to look out of the window on Saturday when it was really blowing and going,
mhm.
and a corner of the roof of the Jiffy Lube lifted up.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, wow.
really?
The Jiffy Lube on across from Ace?
Really?
She went over this morning and told them that, you might want to look at your roof.
The roof's flapping.
They didn't even know it.
That's incredible.
Nobody'd been out back to look.
That's incredible.
So what's up with that? Okay, so you go out to the airport, okay, you drive all the way up to the terminal, to the building.
Yeah.
All that to the, it's like I make up these stories about,
It's pretty property.
I would love to own a piece of that back there
So,
and develop it, because it is so cool. There have to be some ghosts back there, because it just has a feel to it. There's
Goats? You want goats?
ghost,
this was a,
barracks. Or
there's like really old burial grounds here because it's very high. Mr. Jackson,
Yeah, John.
yeah, he would always talk about that this was like the high point of the peninsula, and so it would be used for like ceremonial stuff. So yeah, it's spooky. So you come in here, you're talking about this back here,
Yeah.
or this like silver leaf. There's a second road back here that goes to some real rural stuff.
Go back
Oh,
behind,
well, there's one where,
go
because
behind the airport.
This is the one you're going in the airport, and then on the right, there's a bunch of little houses. for rent.
that, and then there's like another little area, but because we came out and we were driving and then we went up some dirt road, I don't know, so.
You probably ended up back in here, yeah.
It was really bizarre because it was like concrete and, what's the stuff, concrete,
Shell?
shellcrete and some other stuff, and,
Just dirt.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
nobody ever.
like-
There's no,
but then, in a thing, old, torn up, but then then the fence would end and just, it's all.
so if you want to be left alone, this is the
Brambles.
place to do it. But the reason it never got developed is because there was originally a plan for right here is 0. This was originally where the bypass was going
Oh,
to
it's
feed.
gonna
to.
go up that way, that's right, yeah.
It was gonna be right here on the water and be all nice, and then goes through here and
Right.
feed onto this ramp to the causeway, and it just mired in how expensive it is and how hard it is to accumulate all the property, and it just never happened. It's never going to. But that's why you see those huge trucks and things, all kinds of crazy stuff at this intersection here,
Oh, yeah.
because as a part of the roadway, this is, getting from Port Lavaca to this highway is really useful.
Yes,
But the only way to do it is by doglegging this little road.
right.
I was always curious, is that still on the TxDOT books to be extended? at
I don't think so.
some Future date?
I don't think it is. I think that it would have to be one of those things that gets like, someone has to decide that there's some reason to do it.
Okay.
But it also goes through, I think the real challenge has actually not become that part of it. It's building on this in a way that can just remotely affordable. I mean, that would just be horrendously expensive.
And there's already houses there.
Is that because it's low?
Yeah, and there is some issues going through here between, behind Spanish Woods and stuff. You'd be putting a highway right there, which obviously they're not gonna want. But I think that even if you could deal with that, the practicality of like, it's just skirting around the airport like this, the time to do that has come and gone.
Oh,
Well, and if if they discovered there were burial grounds, then that would be another reason that they'd say,
Well, I mean,
but.
you could, this is all some kind of protected wildlife. There's a,
Was a burial ground?
Yeah, that was what everybody was saying.
Because I know that has stopped some other projects.
yep.
I just think it's so cool that there's like, from the Civil War and all, that there's stuff just a little bit north of town
You know, I grew up.
where I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
I grew up right here. This is Donnie Drive. I grew up like right there.
Where is that?
This is Donnie Drive,
By Live
like
Oak.
Market's right here. And the bypass. This is Live Oak Elementary. So I grew up right here. Wasn't here.
Mhm.
And as a matter of fact, this wasn't here.
Yep.
It was just like, I remember when this was being built and it was just huge amounts of dirt. And my brother and I would go climb all over them.
So that probably was out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, this was just woods.
Yeah.
This was just thick woods. And we'd go find all kinds of stuff in here. And we just spent a ton of time out here. And one of the things we would find every once in a while is like little napped rocks. And we thought, oh, well, somebody's like getting into bushcraft and left their little stuff laying around, or oh, look, someone learned how to make little arrowheads or whatever. And it never occurred to us that like nobody had ever been out there. That was just like an old thing that we found, and we've just assumed that that was something you'd find, you know, in northern Oklahoma or something, not, you know, 3 acres from our backyard. But
Yeah.
after it took me forever until I was an adult, and I looked back and thought, man, nothing's ever been out here. There was never cows grazing through here. There was never a home. This just thick. You can barely walk through it. You gotta like duck and dip and bend to get through everything. There's briars and ants and ticks and all kinds of stuff. It's not.
It's like a
When did they build
area
bypass?
plans.
Yeah, it was in the 90s when it got that big.
Yeah.
This whole thing got put in. Big old project.
We had bought already.
Okay.
So it would have been in the 90s.
This one has 2 evidences. I don't know if they're the exact
Crazy.
same. You just accidentally put them in twice, but you just double check.
It started, I did it today, it started doing this thing where it populated 2 for some reason.
I didn't check the one you did it. I just know one of them has like the title, one of them doesn't.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Then the cover sheet looked the same.
Yeah, use the one that says commercial.
Okay.
They will be the same though. Yeah,
Okay.
they're the same. Thank you.
You want me to remove it or just leave it?
Just leave it.
Okay. I'll check to see if anybody's gonna show up.
So at 3 o'clock, what do we even read?
There's 3 accounts.
Okay, how
slated for
many do
3.
you think's gonna show up, Eamon?
One.
0.
You say 0. You say 1, Kathy? What do you say, Robert?
I'll give you a hint.
With
2 of them
your-
have the same property owner name.
Yeah, 2 of them the same, right?
So there's a little hint.
Think carefully before you answer.
We've already done one.
You think 0, Charlie? We have to wait till 3:15 now, right? Okay.
I was watching the hearing at not home at noon time, Bill Barr. And are there Democrats in here?
I don't know.
But it's okay, you can have an opinion.
Are you gonna stay back here?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, I don't care, I can stay. I
This
just
is where
have
the
to-
all the homes are, so I'll be here for a minute.
So just they would just tear at him and he'd start to answer a question. My time, and not let him answer any questions. And Jim Jordan, finally, you know who Jim Jordan is, I love him. He finally said, look, we brought him in here to ask him questions, let him answer the questions. They still wouldn't let him answer them, and they were vicious, just viciously going after him.
Those vicious
If they had a gun, they
Democrats.
would have shot him, and then as soon as he even opened his mouth, they all said, hey, it's my time, take my time, and then they would, can I answer the question? Take my time, and then keep going home. Every single one.
So they were all up there pontificating.
Exactly.
That's how they all are. Every congressional hearing, meeting, interview I've ever seen in the last 30 years, they're not getting any information. They're all wanting to have
Putting
said
information out there.
certain things on the record.
Yeah.
You know, doesn't matter which party they're in. I've seen Ted Cruz do it. I've seen Nancy Pelosi do it. They just go up there and say, they want to be the guy that said this thing, and like let it be known that I gave my 2 cents.
Whether it was
But it's
right,
not a
whether it was
discussion.
right or wrong, or whether they got,
You can tell because no one's paying attention.
Right.
I mean, no one is paying attention. There's like people shuffling around, they're looking at things.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's giving this like impassioned speech and they're just like,
I have this vision of Trump being reelected, and on his victory speech, he goes, "And now for my next agenda item, term limits." And every congressman, every senator on both sides of the aisle.
yeah.
We've all grown up to be congressmen or senators or whatever, because, you know, all you have to do is serve one term, you get paid for the rest of your life.
Yeah, but
And all of your insurance.
think about those people who are been there since like the 80s and they're now in their 80s and they want this is what they do every day. They just go in there and talk to news reporters and argue and like who wants to spend their entire life like that?
Biden.
Just like
I think there ought to be age limits.
Oh, I think there should be age and term limits.
Yeah, I do too.
And salary limits, and not allow themselves increases on the that don't like it.
Oh, hello, they're closing all the parks, they're doing all of that, but they're voting themselves wage increases.
Yeah.
It was
I
like,
haven't seen the final, they haven't come out with the final $3 trillion, whatever it's gonna be. Not in the past.
oh yeah, I
In
was
the
gonna look
past,
that
oh.
up. How'd that because I heard that they were going to sort of kick the can on it, right? They were gonna do a part of it at a time.
Oh, on the next,
The Heroes Act thing.
Last I heard, even when I was driving in here, they still battling it out between $3 million Democratic plan, and I don't know how much the Republican plan is. So I don't know
I
if
see.
it's-
So they call theirs the Heels Act.
yeah, those people are detached from reality.
Yeah, they are.
They really do. They're definitely not representing us. I don't think.
Well, the big thing that came out today was that they don't feel, they keep insisting that these are all peaceful protests. And I's bar bringing in there, or
oh, I'm
whatever he
having, I
is.
can't stand to watch that.
And they're trying to burn the damn building down.
Yeah.
And so we're supposed to, the government's supposed to protect this property. So they send whatever troops they call them in there to defend the property. And then they still will not call these riots peaceful protests. Well, how many peaceful protests have they ever been to where they had, you know, guns and jackhammers and all kinds of fire?
Well, and they're tearing up people's property, it's like,
There was a great letter, well, it was an opinion article in the opinion section of Wall Street Journal yesterday, written by a guy, Van Dyke. His last name was Van Dyke. I don't recall his first name. But a Democrat, had been a lifelong Democrat. And even he was saying, why is it Democrats are allowing this violence to occur? What's in it for them? And they're just, he was baffled as a long-term.
Because they wanted his First Amendment rights, number one.
Yeah.
Which were,
Yeah, peaceful is one thing.
yeah, it's the Black Lives Matter. And the more you protest, the more you get what you want. You know, we brought up the fact today, well, you know, the protests over Vietnam, they posted over the abolitionists, whatever you call them, women's rights, whatever, all the protesters, they always win. So just keep on going. And for other cities and, I don't know. They fear, I hope.
they came one day.
I hope so.
The thing that keeps that stuff away from us is that we get hurricanes.
Gulf Coast of Texas.
You pick your disaster, you know?
You're probably right.
If the Midwest gets tornadoes, California gets earthquakes, you know.
Hey, man, you grew up here?
Yeah.
Because you have an accent.
I have an accent.
No, he does, don't you think?
I don't think so.
I know his dad, they've grown up here.
An accent from where?
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's a Rockport accent.
What accent?
Oh,
You know, there was such a
places
thing.
like East Texas, West Texas.
They have accents.
They do, but not like they used to.
No, but I think he has a definite accent.
what kind?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know what kind.
Well, what's it remind you of?
But it's funny because this morning, I don't know what made me even think, I was like, oh, I need to ask Eamon where he's from. Because,
Maybe it's from your dad.
Well, my dad grew up in South Boston and worked
That's
really
what
hard.
Yeah,
He's got a different accent.
that's
He
what
worked
I'm hearing.
really, really hard to flush that out of his. What's funny though is when we would watch certain movies that were taking place in South Boston, he would reflect
Pick it
it, or
up
when his
again.
sister would visit, it would start coming out, and we would just kind of look at him like, what?
That's what happened. I'm from New Jersey, and I moved there from when I was 17 and moved to Massachusetts, and I went to college in Massachusetts, and then got married and lived in Massachusetts. So I had a Massachusetts accent, and people still think I have a New Jersey accent.
You have a different accent too.
Yeah.
Part New Jersey, part Massachusetts. But I've been in Texas for 35 years.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you definitely have an accent to me.
Well, as far
And
as
it would be the Boston, it would be.
where I'm from here, but my
You
wife
grew
got
up here.
my wife got me a DNA test for Father's Day. It was pretty awesome.
You didn't have a gathering of everybody and your grandfather, did you?
What?
It isn't funny. I mean, it was
A
terrible,
what?
that story. The family got together
Mhm.
to celebrate Father's Day with the grandfather on down.
Uh-huh.
Well, somebody had it. So like 7 of the kids or grandkids got COVID. And then the grandfather died from COVID from Father's Day.
No. She just, I wanted to do the ancestry thing. My mom has Alzheimer's, so you can get tested to see if you have the marker for it, for early onset Alzheimer's, which I do. And they do the ancestry one as well. And if you're just kind of like broadly African, they'll just highlight the whole country of Africa. But if you have a lot of links to like particular, maybe Algeria or, Ethiopia, it'll break down Africa into countries. And if your country gets more specific than that, it'll break it down into parts of the country. And the whole thing was just Ireland was this hard little blue thing.
But you
And
could
it was
look
County
you could
Cork,
be Irish.
and then a couple of other counties nearby, but like nowhere else. There's like nothing else in the whole thing. And I was like,
Are your grandparents or anybody from Ireland?
well, what's funny is my paternal great grandparents came here from Ireland. That's kind of a long ways back. And it was James and Mary Burke, and they came here. But they came to New England in a time when Irish people were kind of discriminated against. And as a result, they only married and socialized with other Irish immigrants. So they just didn't go anywhere. Like there's no new, little bit of Japanese, a little bit of Hawaiian, there's none of that. It's just,
So you were like 100% Irish.
yeah, I think my mom's mother's side. So my mom's mother's mother was Cajun by way of being French, Irish, Cajun in northern Louisiana. But like the whole family's Irish. The whole thing is just like concentrated in one little county. It's kind of unbelievable. But I knew it was going to be, my dad's done our genealogy, so I knew that we have an Irish family, but like, I didn't think that it would be that specific to like County Cork.
Well, that's kind of cool. I mean,
Yeah, that's awesome. That was awesome. And I mean, what else is great is everything about that place sounds awesome.
Has ever been to Ireland?
No, for good reason. I'm convinced that if like I'll have a hard time leaving or staying away,
It's gorgeous.
because it's like it just sounds, everything about it is like sold, absolutely sold. Like the high in the summer, the all-time high in that county is like 84
All right, we got it in
degrees.
person,
The normal is like low 60s.
1186.
So you think, well, it must get freezing in the winter. It doesn't go below 40 in the
Go ahead
winter.
and get the ready in front of me.
it's beautiful.
County Cork.
Persimmon,
And I was thinking, I wonder if there's a famous
118.
distillery in County Cork. Like, what's a
Are you
big?
kidding? They drink like fish over there.
And I was like, well, what's the noteworthy distillery in County Cork?
yes ma'am.
It's the Jameson Distillery in Middleton. I was like, oh, well, that's pretty well known. Okay.
Half the bars, and my maiden name is Morgan. Morgan. Half the bar are Morgan. Morgan bar, Morgan this, Morgan that.
That's awesome. Okay, this one. I don't know if there was going to be any
Ramona,
further.
Yeah,
1186.
I got it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Oh, this is not the person that has two.
No,
Robert, you never told me how many you thought.
I said at least one.
I said one.
And what are you thinking, Charlie?
It's
Too late
1186.
now, there's already one here.
But it's just one. Oh, you said
I
zero.
said 0.
What is?
Yes. 1186.
Oh, I'm a little confused.
Huh.
Simmons.
Hmm.
Wow. Paper good.
Have any evidence yet?
Oh, I hate that.
How can we take this one from? It'll bring the next one. Back up. One, just tap on it.
Just tap it.
Yeah, normally that would. Right now. Well, it just switched.
Oh, I can't stand that. And it's so hard to like.
It just did it, and I just tapped it.
Oh, Charlie, I knew what you were doing. Sorry. He did it. Don't look at me. He's the one that did it.
Gosh. You're so loud. I mean, my left. You were always the loser in hide and seek. There she is. She's in that closet. You'd hear somebody running by. Right
You're
there.
probably right.
You hear that laugh? I got almond joys too.
Right there.
Maybe I took some of yours.
Maybe you did.
Maybe I didn't know. But somebody, I saw a wrapper from a Baby Ruth yesterday. Now, where did that Baby Ruth come from? Because after that, of course, I wanted one.
Yeah.
But I could not find one anywhere.
Oh, I don't like that
You don't like Baby Ruths?
I love them.
Oh, they're good.
one. Or Milky
haven't
Way.
seen it
I
already.
don't like
Well,
Milky Way either.
somebody got one because the trash, I was throwing away some sheets I had. Yes, it was in that garbage can.
Wasn't me.
Okay. Maybe it was bad.
I had an almond joy
Oh, I think.
and a Reese's.
We have Mrs. Simmons.
Hello.
Simmons.
Right here. Sign affidavit. And then we're gonna copy that.
We have some administrative to go through before we get started. All along with us, I might ask a few questions along the way. Okay. Opening a hearing on You ready?
We're ready over there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Right.
good.
Opening hearing on 220-1186. Account 88-10471. This hearing is being recorded. We are the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. The four of us are the appraisal review board, plus Ramona, who is coming in via Zoom. Okay? And Mike is the representative for the district. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. At the end of the hearing, you may complete a survey regarding your experience. The survey may be completed using the survey form and emailed to ptad.communications@cpa.texas.gov or online at surveymonkey.com/r/surveyarb. Survey is voluntary, but we do appreciate it if you take it. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 4145H, all written material which has not been provided must be provided at this time. We have all your evidence. Is that correct?
Being scanned in right now.
Okay. Thank you. ARB members who are considering your protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing an affidavit to that effect. I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 4166F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Cindy Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F.
I, Robert Davis, swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.6.
I, Ramona LeBlanc, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of tax code section 41.66F and am signing to that effect and am physically located in Texas.
I, Elizabeth Picarazzi, notarizing Ramona's signature, and I also am located in Texas.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath. I think you have the large print. I need you to do it out loud and then you state your name ahead of time. Yeah.
My name is Deborah Simmons. I do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony shall present to the appraisal review board for the Aransas County Appraisal District is true and correct.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Michael Soto. I do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony shall present to the appraisal review board for the Aransas County Appraisal District. Correct.
Her evidence is in there. It's in Twitter.
Ms. Simmons? Ms. Simmons?
Yes.
Do you have an appraiser's license?
Do I?
An appraiser's license?
No.
The governor made me ask that question. All right. You have in front of you, right there in front of you, a list of how we're going to do this hearing, okay? And you get to choose who goes first. You or the district.
District can go first.
Okay.
Okay, the subject property is a 135 Sherwood Drive in Rockport. Last year, we had an evaluation of 196,780. This year, we have an evaluation of 194,780. Went down a little bit for depreciation. The thing under protest is market value. I think that's the only thing under protest.
Yes.
Okay. One of the unique things about this particular property is we have a sale, or at least a consideration, at 143. I don't know if that was the total of the sale. But if you'll look on the card, right here, we have it coming from the, have like, from Olga, I I can't even pronounce that last name. It looks like that would have been April of something. I don't have that. I don't know if that's that same sale price. And then it went to USA Federal Savings, and then it went to the Secretary of Veterans, and then it went to the subject property owner, all within 1 year. So what I would say is this is not typical of the market. And in evidence of that, you'll just look at the listing card that we have. And last year's value, we had 196. So the only thing under protest is market value. The subject property is a 4FB, which is, we have from classes from 1 to 7. 4 being an average home, we have a 4FB plus for the subject property, 10,000 square feet, 10,000 price on the land. It is 1,533 square feet, built in 2006 with an effective age of 2006. So we'll just look at other properties that have sold for a market analysis. 85 Northview Drive in Rockport sold for $242. It's also 4FB plus. It's smaller than the subject by about 200 square feet. It's newer than the subject, and when appropriately adjusted for the subject, renders a value of $220. Comp number 2 sold for $240. It's also smaller than the subject, the same class as the subject, within 1 effective year as the subject, and that one sold for $240. A very similar land value in both of those accounts, comp 1 and 2.
Wait, you get your turn. You get your turn.
Now it's the correct page. Go ahead. I see what you was.
Where are you on the?
On the wrong page.
Okay.
Well, I just, I moved to the other one, sorry.
That's comp
I was
number.
trying to move it up.
Yeah, column number 2 is a very similar land value, when appropriately adjusted, renders value of 200 and something, in 203. Column number 4 and 5, or 3 and 4, those sold for 138. That one is a lower class in the subject property. It's 400, almost 400 square feet smaller than the subject, the same effective year as the subject. And the land has one more lot. It looks like it's a little bit better in the lot value. When you appropriately adjust that one, it renders a value of 177 and change. The last one also is a 4VS. It's older than the subject. It's approximately the same land value. It looks like it's very similar in size. Actually, it's a little bit smaller. It appears that all of these are smaller. And when you appropriately adjust this property, it renders a value of 190,048. When you look at the median for all of those values, I don't think I have any more, do I? Jackie? No, I don't. So if you look at those 4 cells, that renders a value of 196,643. Now, I believe we'll hear information about the subject property and how it transacted this last year. But again, what I want to point you to is a sale typically doesn't transact that way 3 times, especially from a person. It looks like it went to foreclosure. I'm not certain. I guess we'll find out. But it looks like it went from there to foreclosure to the Secretary of Veteran Affairs and then to the subject property owner. So it typically doesn't transact 3 times in 1 year, and it's not typical of the market. And that's the reason we used other market transactions in and about the subject property owner's area or the neighborhood. Furthermore, what I'd like to say is that we had a value of 196 last year before they owned it.
Okay, so ma'am, you get 2 minutes to cross-examine and then 5 minutes for your presentation. So I'm putting in for 7 minutes.
I thought I was going to speak of, the market value plus the equal valuation of property. I thought that was both of those were, but I guess not. But these 2 houses are Waterview. They're past the pipeline, totally different place. I mean, it's West Holiday Beach. Pull that up, they're on the water. I mean, they're by the water. Those houses have to be stilted. They're not comparable to my house. The houses over there have to be stilted. They have a lot more restrictions, and those houses sell for a whole lot more. So that's, you know, with that, first off. And,
Can you give us a north elevation, like
and that's just how it is. You can't build a house when you get past the pipeline, because I have a piece of property over there.
It's
And
messing
that's the
up.
reason I didn't build, because it ended up being too expensive. What we call a pipeline is a pipeline that goes through
Here, here.
yeah, if you hit the left one, the left carrot, the,
so when you go past Northview, where there are no trees, where's north?
Oh, west, which way are we facing?
yeah, you're facing north at this point.
North, and then that's west. And when you get past, there's a section where there's nothing built, and then there's just a pipeline through there, and then there's nothing, no tree. And all those houses over there have to be filtered. They have to be, you can't have anything below, unless you're grandfather. You can't have houses, all the houses are filtered. And so those houses are filtered that you compared my house to, they're all more expensive. Everything over there is more expensive. So I'll make compare them to that. And, you know, those either have water view or they're, you know, my house has Aransas. Tell you how much gas is every morning. I mean, that's, right on the 35. My house backs up to, where's 35? 35. My house backs up to the property on 35.
Right here.
Commercial property.
She's right here.
Okay, and where's,
Right here.
The red line,
oh,
up and down. Or
So-
this-
when I bought the property, first of all, it was in foreclosure. I couldn't really find, VA wouldn't give me information. I bought it kind of in a situation where I probably should have waited and tried to find out more. Couldn't find out any information. I needed a place to live, and I bought it thinking that things were improving, because they had improved. There was a lot of damage, it was improving. Since I bought it, Sherwood is horrible. Especially in my section right there, when there's junk, there's abandoned houses, houses that have been for sale for way before, because I have been looking out there for hurricane, but I mean, I can't, this is behind my house. It doesn't matter how much I mow or clean, there's just so much, I mean, so that this house, well, this house is a house down on Sherwood, and it wasn't used as a comparable. It's on open, it was for sale for a long time. It finally, I called a real estate friend of mine. She said the sale price in May was 125, and that it's the same size as mine, and the assessment was 109. I just, you know, I don't know why the assessment on my house is so high. The people that it foreclosed on were upside down on it. I finally did get a hold of them and were able to talk to them. They had it for sale. Started at 199, they came all the way down. They never got an offer close to 150. They were so upside down on it that they let it go. So it was a foreclosure. It didn't sell in 2019 until I bought it. Those weren't sales, those were a foreclosure. And so they couldn't sell it for 150. The VA couldn't sell it. When I made them an offer of much lower than what I paid for it, they took it off the market. And it kept going back and forth, they take it off the market. And I went ahead and made an offer, and they came back with that offer, and I took it and probably shouldn't have. But I don't think right now I could sell it for what I've got in it, just from the repairs I had to make. Because there's several houses on Sherwood that are grown up, they've been for sale for several years, just past me. I don't think I could get, not so much because of the house itself, but what's all around me. I mean, you can look and see what's behind it. And on the side is a jungle. This is just, and that's just a couple of houses down from me. And I filed a complaint with the county about this. The HOA can't hardly do anything. That rain, that big rain about a month ago, we had 7 inches. My house was in pretty good shape. We went outside to check it. The water was going down the road. My son calls me out there to check it, and he said, come see this. And there was gas and oil floating on the top of the water coming from the south, which is from this. That's the only thing it could, it was enough to light, you know, we could have lit it with a match. And that's environmental issue. There's so many abandoned vehicles that when all that rain, I'm sure gas, oil, whatever was in them, came down north. Sherwood, that's on my side of the street, all over the top of the ditch. So it's not gotten better, and I bought it thinking that the value would go up, maybe that it would be close to what, you know, I just didn't think about just high taxation on it, the assessment on it. Is that my time?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so now, the district gets 2 minutes to cross-examine.
In looking at the comps that we have for the sales prices, comp number 3 and comp number 4, I guess are on, you know, one of the things the property owner brought up was like on base, you know, like stilt level. What I would say is that generally an argument says, well, those are more expensive because they have to be up. I guess the counter argument would be that they have to be up, so your land is better. And if you look at the pictometry imagery, the negative that you have is close to commercial, but the positive you have is the trees as opposed to, you know, there's not a tree out there in some of those other areas that are actually the comp. So, I mean, to say that the land is worse where hers is, I don't know, that's not really a, I don't know if that's a doubt. Having said that, we just look at the 2 comps, which are comps number 3 and 4. Those are both foundation homes, so they're most similar to the subject. And when you look at their rendered values that we have 177 and 190 when appropriately adjusted. You have to remember that both of those are, you know, the classes are worse than the subject. They're both smaller than the subject. And they're both, well, one of them's the same age, but the other one is, you know, older than the subject.
Where are they located?
One's on the same road on Sherwood and on Green Oak. Now, Green Oak is, again, more to the west a little bit. But these are
closer to the water.
The Green Oak is down here, down, okay, up, nope. You're just doing it with your hand, just down, okay. Move your hand down, down, just move your hand. Not the map, move your hand. Pull back up, please.
Freaking out, I'm sorry.
Green Oak is one of the lots that doesn't have a house, I mean, doesn't have a tree on it.
Is it on the water?
All right.
No,
So
none
I'm
of-
gonna-
none of-
I mean, I'm
none
gonna
of
give
this-
you
None of this is on the water. And what I'd like to say is that if you're looking at those two.
I'm just gonna pull it up.
Okay,
It's not,
this is Green Oak right here. And so it does not have a view of the water. It doesn't have very many trees. It's just a house.
But, and hers is over,
Hers is close, here's 35, then you have the commercial, then you start Sherwood, and she's
right
along this
there.
road
Oh,
somewhere.
okay, so just one.
Yeah, it's 2 blocks over. So those, one is on the same street, and the other is a couple of blocks over. And if you're looking at those, both of those are less of a class than the subject. Those values render value 177 and 190 respectively.
You've got a little bit more.
Okay. And what I would say is that even though our grid shows 196, even if you were to go with that and say those still homes aren't like hers, well, the two that are most like hers on foundation homes, one of them's a 4 BS vinyl sided house. I'd rather have a hardy plank house every day. That one's older and it renders a value of 190. The other one's 177. So I'm thinking just on the open market, it's going to be somewhere in that area. Numbers. As far as the mitigating factors for anything, in that area, yeah, I mean, Holiday Beach is Holiday Beach. I mean, there's good and bad in Holiday Beach, and there are some, things like you've indicated that aren't so great. Specifically, the road noise on Sherwood would not be great, especially on a Friday afternoon. Everybody's coming in, and Sunday afternoon, everybody's going out. That's what I would say.
Okay, and so ma'am, now you get 2 minutes for your rebuttal.
Well, if I need to sell that house in 2 months, let's say, I'm not gonna be able to sell it for big price value for this and that.
I kind of agree with you. I don't think you get 196. I think
I
you
couldn't get, I might get what I have in, which is about 150. If I could get that, because they couldn't. They couldn't, it was on the market, it's been on the market for several years, at least 3 years, with those people that did on it. So you tell me, and then there's 3 or 4 other houses on that lot in Sherwood that have been on the market.
Did they have it like on the like who was trying to sell it? I mean,
It doesn't matter. They had 3 or 4 different realtors and they couldn't sell it.
well, that's important. I mean, just that statement is they had 3 or 4 different realtors over a period of time, and they started at like a 190 figure, and then at some point they went into foreclosure, and then when
Well,
you
it
see
had already been reduced before that, and then when the VA got it, they put it on the market with someone out of Corpus, back up at around 180. So the VA couldn't sell it.
okay, so somebody from Corpus was trying to sell it right at the
For the
end.
VA.
Yeah. But
Not for the previous owners, not for the foreclosed owners.
Hmm.
Because I have a couple of the real estate signs in my garage, and it was left, so my point is that if I can't sell it for what it's, if I can't sell it, then why am I paying 194 for a house that I would be lucky to sell what I have in it? Just because of the mitigating factors that you said that really aren't, it's Holiday Beach.
No,
If you go across a pipeline,
I was agreeing with
I
you.
know, I get that, but I'm just saying,
Well, it's
I mean,
Holiday Beach. I was agreeing with you that there's some stuff that's not desirable. Is what I meant by Holiday Beach.
and that's not over there off of past Northview. Those houses seem to sell well and they're worth more.
Okay, so now it's the district closing for 1 minute.
What I would say is I would, in principle, agree with the property owner, even though our median value shows 196. Based on her information, I would kind of agree that it's not worth the 196. Our evidence, and this is another one on Sherwood, when appropriately adjusted, is showing a value of 177. I mean, and that's a 3SF. That is not even appropriately adjusted. That's smaller, a 3SS that sold for 138. I mean, the
But
number.
it only sold for 138.
Right,
Yeah.
but when appropriately adjusted, in comparison with the subject, it should be in that 177 range. The subject property owner has already said that they think that it's worth in that 150 range. I got 177 with the best comp that's there on the same street that sold this year, and it's showing 177. So anywhere you want to go between those two numbers.
Or anyway.
Yeah, anywhere. That's my evidence.
Okay. All right, and then ma'am, you've got 1 minute. This is your closing.
Okay, well, I just feel like things have not actually gotten worse. So my property value of knowledge has in just the mitigating factors, call it whatever. Where is that? And the situation of the commercial behind it, it's not gotten better. It's gotten much worse. And I feel like that, you know, its value is, I just don't think that's appropriate. I don't really think it's, I just don't think I could sell it for what I have. That would be a problem. I want to see the taxes that high for a house that.
Okay, so now the appraisal review board has 5 minutes to discuss it.
The adjusted 128 is 158, so it's, sorry, comp 3.
That's 138,570.
Is it 138?
Yes,
That's what it's sold for.
138.
Oh, no, I was, the address.
Oh, yeah.
It's sold for 138,570. Adjusted 177. Given what she said about the area and the property and everything, I could go 175. I couldn't go all the way to 150. Not with that sale up there.
I was thinking a little higher than that, but I could go to 170.
I was gonna say 180, 175 is fine. I think with all of the, excuse me, crap that she got around her, you know, the cars. She really bad situation. So,
Okay, Ramona,
175.
I agree with the 175.
okie dokie. And Mike, I'm sorry, will you just remind me what UVR is?
UDR, unverified residential sale.
Got it, okay. All right, so on account number 8810471, taking into consideration the incorrect appraised market value and the information that the district and the property owner presented to us, I make a motion that for the 2020 value on this property, we lower it to $175,000.
In favor?
Aye.
175. Okay. We're
And
done.
you'll get something in the
You'll get it
mail.
in the mail. You get a document by snail mail.
And it'll also, you know, it'll just kind of explain the whole process too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes,
We're
ma'am.
done?
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And would you, please,
Okay, all right, thank you.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Want to just go to the front, that will show you out,
Okay,
and you can let her know you want to do a survey.
okay.
We didn't have any more call-ins for today, so
We're
we're
done.
done with the hearing. I had a hearing procedure question for tomorrow. We have 41 accounts scheduled for tomorrow. It's all with one agent. There's the agent that's going to participate. The property owner would like to participate. And I'm wondering about affidavits for you and for the property owner. Can we do one affidavit for every hearing at the beginning? Do we need to do one for each separate hearing? And I'm saying that because of the
It's one,
orders that we send out.
but it's one property owner.
They're that are similar, but it is 41 separate accounts.
Was it the owner or?
How many accounts
41
in one day?
The several, I don't want to say too much, but we scheduled it thinking that you'll be able to do it.
I think
Well, you've got high hopes there, girl.
No, that's only 10 per hour and it's one person.
I know. Like, excuse me, I don't mean to laugh.
Rewording the top piece to include a list of all the accounts.
Accounts.
Right, so that it would
Yeah.
alleviate having to sign every time. I don't
Right.
know if
I
you want me
understand,
to.
I understand. You have to change the top, the header to make the list of all the accounts. And then the wording of the
Thank you.
O would have to refer to all of the above
Yes.
listed accounts.
Mhm,
Okay?
mhm.
If you can do that, I think we're good.
Okay, would you be all right with the property owner if on his affidavit he put for all the hearings scheduled for July 29th? He hasn't turned it in yet, and I'm just trying to think.
Why doesn't he just put the account number
Just
of
list
all of
them.
them?
Just like
Just
we're gonna
list
list them
them.
on here,
Okay.
you can list them on here.
Because
Right.
it's like that. As long as
Yeah.
he's got the account numbers, then he's still held to tell the truth.
Yeah.
All right. And Mike, maybe you would weigh in on this. Do you want me to go ahead and double check this with the attorney before we do that? Or,
Changing the signing affidavit?
right, to include several accounts rather than just one?
Yeah, I'd like you to check.
Okay. So if our attorney says it's okay, I'll do that. And y'all are in agreement with it. Otherwise, if he says no, I'll just do it the old fashioned way.
And then on our affidavit, you'll just have all the accounts listed on ours too, right?
Right.
I will be here then.
Now she tells us.
No, I-
No, she didn't. Yeah.
One other question here, then I would assume then that the district would go over each property individually.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
All right. That's all I
Okay.
had.
Is
Okay.
that's tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
That's for Aiden, yeah. Yeah, so in a procedure like that, you do the swear in, and then somebody would read the listing of accounts out loud. And then through each one, we say, we're opening the hearing for, and then for the aforementioned swear in, we're good for everybody involved, you know.
Yeah.
And you can actually do theirs as well. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then hopefully if they say that that's good, that you haven't
Save a lot of
communicated.
time.
Yeah, it would save a lot of time.
I swear we've done that in prior years.
I think we have.
I mean, like a lot on the accounts, but maybe.
I haven't talked about it with the agent. He indicated that he has an affidavit for each account that he's planning to send in. So,
Oh, like he's turning, Like
because
he's
he
not-
will be at Bison. And
Oh.
the property owner will be by phone.
fun. Okay,
All right,
The property owner is gonna be by phone, and the agent is gonna be
by Zoom.
by Zoom.
they're both good.
So,
That's
yeah.
what it will be. Okay. Thank you.
Cool, thank you, Dad.
And there's nothing else for this afternoon, right?
No
We got any
letters? No.
Okey doke.
Wow.
In that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn today's meeting.
You all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Bye.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Ramona.